money moves. Evolution of your life. If I was cool. Yo, success ain't a straight line, they flip their fate. Turn setbacks to comebacks, now they're straight greats. From the grind to the shine, watch the pros improve. On unconventional money, it's the next gen groove. Genius minds outside the lines of unconventional money, we rise and shine. Unconventional money moves, where success rewrites the rules.
For yourself for a couple years now, but you were working at like in sales at like where like Teladoc?
Yeah, I was at Teladoc Health for around 7 years, and I started with inside sales, outside sales, and then I was operation manager for their ASO team, and we sold through the health plans. So that was getting interesting and fun, and this was like on the onset of COVID too, so things were moving really fast. And what we provided was virtual care doctors, right, for general medicine, and it was valuable at the time because everybody couldn't leave their house and it was like impossible to set appointments. So we killed it. At Teladoc, I actually realized like the value of like technology and like the speed of technology and how it can impact communities, and because the pandemic was a great example, and then the stuff we started doing like Royal Africa and like Royal like countrysides. Like
I mean during
it was really
that time, Teladoc was booming.
So I really enjoy that job.
I actually used Teladoc not long ago for something, and I met with a doctor, and I was having an eye issue, and pretty much like the doctor was this older man, and I told him my situation, and he just said there was no like there was no manners. He was basically like, you need to go to an eye doctor. That's it. And then like just hung up. And I was like, wow, well, thank you. He was right, but I mean, the way he handled it was pretty rude. But the benefit is like, I mean, for most things, I mean, at least being able to talk to a doctor. But now with like ChatGPT, you got some symptoms, you can just go on ChatGPT and plug it in. It gives you like a general idea of what you're looking at in terms of your symptoms. But
man, I'm not sure if I trust that just yet, right? I think I just came across like an article of where people are creating avatars, like doctor avatars on TikTok, and giving doctor advice that are like not correct at all. So it's kind of frightening. But I think you can use it like anything else, where you just go and kind of get a lead on your symptoms and then take it from there, like guidance. Like we use it in working, guidance of like who you want to go after and like where they could be hanging out, and then you go and do your research, right? You go out and you test it. I think those old principles will go away, where you have to go and find your target audience and talk to them and see what the pain points are, and then come back and do what kind of messaging around that. Yeah. So
no, it's a good starting point though.
Learning.
And I mean, being able to use technology is definitely going to help more people than it hurts, as long as it's used for good things. But like anything, it could be used for bad things too. So I mean, you went from a sales position at a huge company to starting a marketing company a couple years ago. What made you decide to do something like that? Because most people don't leave the cushy job with the salary and the benefits to start their own thing. Most people never do it.
Yeah, no, good story. And I think I had to get pushed. By the grace of God, I got pushed out because, as I said, like the pace of technology and everything was advancing. We acquired another virtual care company that specialized in diabetes management, Livongo, and we acquired them for like $3 billion, like a huge acquisition. And with that, because before I worked at Teladoc, I worked at McKesson, which is a pharmaceutical company, and I was in finance at the time. And before, man, this thing just, again, layers and layers. Before McKesson, I was at PSS World Medical here in Jacksonville, which was a local pharmaceutical company and medical device company. And they got bought by McKesson when I was doing my internship at PSS World Medical. And so McKesson brought me aboard after my internship as a chargeback analyst. And so I got to work with like Georgia Pacific and like all these big health plans, right? And we had like a quota of syringes, and then we signed these contracts, and I just basically kept track that they're ordering and they're fulfilling their end. And then if they weren't, or if they went over, we owed them a rebate, and just manage that whole process. We were on the old like DOS system too. So I was with McKesson for about 4 years. And then they did away with our whole department, and they were gonna move our branch over to Alpharetta, Georgia. I was like, man, this was like 2 years after college. So like 2015. It's like, do I really want to move to Alpharetta, Georgia? So I was like, But what was awesome, and I think that is a grace too. I worked for great companies. So even though they were shutting down our department, they allowed us 6 months. They allowed on-the-job training. We started working, what's called, like 2 days at home before the pandemic even occurred, because they were just giving us that lead time to go and take interviews. So they were amazing and generous with our service and everything. So from there I went to Interline, which was a sales company. That was my first sales job, like straight out sales, and I was doing inside sales. But I saw the value, because outside sales, you always get the stigma of like, man, I don't want to go meet everybody, talk to everybody. You know, like you're so hesitant of that rejection that's so hard. But what Interline was pushing was to automate things. Let's teach. And I was selling maintenance and operational products to colleges on the West Coast. Made some good friends too. But we're teaching maintenance guys and stuff how to order on their own, so they can automatically do it, and they can do it 24/7, like game times and off hours when we're not available. So got amazing traction there, and then that's how I ended up at Teladoc. So at Teladoc, I was in various departments, and this is where I was just letting God push me my way through. I was comfortable, like I was getting paid well. It was just me, like no complaints, but you can't be too comfortable. So I started inside sales. I told you I did outside sales. I went to data analytics for all our events. I was attached with marketing. And like through all these departments, I managed our sales force at a time for the ASO team. And that was end of the quarter, and sales wants to get paid. Like, oh my gosh, because I had to close the deals and contracting. But anyways, all that, I saw big organizations that had the money, but there were still like missing connections, right? I still had to be like the liaison through everything. And I'm like, man, if big organizations are having this kind of disconnect, small business owners is impossible. And I witnessed it firsthand. So that's what kind of led me here, is like seeing like the breakdown in systems and processes. And I was like, man, I can like use my knowledge and try to build this and develop it for small business owners before they get up and running. Because I mean, that'll just save a lot of headache. And then when I started doing systems and processes, a lot of small business owners didn't want to talk about systems and processes when they're just living on that next sale. And so I was like, all right, sales and marketing is the way to go. And then my buddy who owns Boom App Pay, he has funding and all that too. He hired me to start his sales development team, and he just didn't have time to meet with me and all this. And I just saw how busy like the startup world is. And so that's what, long story short, I was like, man, everybody needs to do sales and marketing. They need that as a lifeblood in order to focus on the other aspects of the business that's important, like your operations and like your feedback loop. And all
Yeah,
that
it seems like people are either good at one thing. Some people are really good at sales, and then the back end fulfillment is not good. And then there's like other people who are like could build a phenomenal product, a great business, but then they're a secret, which means they have a marketing problem if they're not getting enough people who know about their product. So it's about finding that balance. What have you been seeing with the companies that you've been working with in terms of that gap?
I will say it's getting that foundation underneath you. And what we call foundation would be getting your website, getting your branding together. Because you're going to have, when you first begin, you're going to have a lot of various people supporting you, right? Because you're trying to figure out who works, like your delegation style and all that. So, but if you know your foundation, I think it's easier to get people through and to test people out when you have a structure around your company as well. And what I've noticed about a lot of small business owners, either they've transitioned, like I have one client who went from a tanning bed solution, great pivot too, right? And went to an optical store, like amazing pivot, but never had that time to just lay down the structure, just been going and going. So I think setting a great structure, which is getting your website, knowing your product, knowing your target audience and your branding, I think that is huge. And then I think when you move on to like growth and engagement is a huge aspect too that a lot of small business owners don't do. And so engagement would be part of doing the foundation. It's just who do you want to talk to, who you want to engage with in the community, like where are you trying to take your business, and start networking with those individuals. And then you move to growth, which will be your social media and your content, and make sure it's targeting the right audience. So I think those two are heavy lifts, and that's kind of where I see myself as kind of being like an accountability partner, and also being able to do the work if you still have to go and dive back in your business, right? So I think this journey, doing it alone, and I'm glad I met you on the onset of starting this thing 2 years ago. Like, you were great support in helping me get going and like realizing my finance, and that I did have the budget.
Yeah, I mean,
just venture out and start.
Some people get caught up in making everything perfect in the beginning. Like, oh, I need a super pretty website, or I need to make sure this is perfect. And ultimately, I mean, the most important thing is getting the website to be functional so that people can either buy from you or schedule with you or contact you with zero friction, whether they can find your phone number, your email, a contact form, or a buy now button. Guilty of this, of attempting to make the website look really nice and create all this, when no one wanted to talk to me, I had all this free time. I was like, well, I'm just gonna write blogs every week. And I like wrote a blog a week for like years. And now I have like hundreds of blogs, but then I learned Google doesn't care because you have to like submit all this stuff for indexing. So it's like I wrote all these blogs, but Google's not even recognizing them. But then you learn like, you just got to index them. So it's kind of weird sometimes how you put in the work and you're not seeing the results, but getting that one little tweak could make a difference, especially now. And I believe Google, there's a reason they're a good company, is because they help small business owners get out there so people can find them. But knowing how to play their Google game is the tricky part.
Oh, yeah. The disconnect with Google. Yeah. You need passwords for each one of the platforms and tools. It's definitely it's on purpose. I think it's a marketing thing, right? So you can be reliant. But yeah, and I love what you said about writing all those blogs. I think consistency is another big aspect too, of like keep going, because you're not going to always get up and wanting to do this thing. So, but just knowing you got to get a little aspect or a little step done, I think it's huge too to reflect on and be like, man, all right, that little progress.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I still have a marketing problem, but I actually was I'm testing out some ads on Google, and Google's starting to actually pull assets from YouTube and whatnot, so you can basically like pull videos that you put on YouTube and use that in ads, and they have made it a lot better than they did just a year ago, because like I was using Google Ads, I was like, I think this is silly, because for me, whenever I see sponsored ad, I always go past it.
Yeah, same here. I'm the same. Yeah, that's why we focus on like geofencing and all that, because I think being local is key, especially for small businesses. I think awareness in your area is definitely gonna give you more traction and more sales than I think online, because online you're competing for keywords. It's like it's this whole another like arena that you have to face. But if you're just attracting your crowd and your people,
well,
like
it starts
neighbors,
with
I think that's
how can you get one customer
right? So
a month, a week, a day, one like opportunity, and then you just like figure out how to scale that at a reasonable rate of return, versus everyone's like, oh, I need more. But sometimes you get more and then you end up getting the wrong client or the wrong avatar knocking on your door, and you're like, oh, this is a nightmare.
Or you're not set up to scale. That's been my problem. Like, I get all the clients, but it's just me and I have to fulfill the work. So I'm so glad that I have support and people that do have like can produce like the outcomes that we kind of see and want. So that's been huge too. I think it's been, and you hooked me up with Conrad and his team, and that's been a huge asset, and like just someone to talk to as well about like all the pitfalls that you do come across. But I would say, yeah, definitely support and ads are so tricky, because I think I struggle with, do I want to be original or like hit on what's trending? And that's what kind of gets confusing. It's like, am I just doing things that are trending just to hit on this like rush, and get this traffic, or do I focus on content that like resonates?
I think you just gotta do both.
And just sticks to that. So
Yeah, I mean that's someone gave me that advice. They're like, hey, for social media, just do what other people are doing,
But,
and then also do what you want to do as well. But I mean, if someone's doing a post on a certain subject, and if you find that post boring, however, if the social media platform is rewarding that post, it must be some sort of reason. So it's okay to piggyback on it. I remember when I did like a golf video that got like, it went viral, got like more than 1 million views. Then I started seeing all these influencers like, stealing exactly what I did. And I was like flattered at the same time that I was like, man, like give me a shout out or something. But like, I mean, they were getting tens of thousands of views too. So, I mean, they're not getting like millions of views, but I mean, if you're getting 100 views on your Instagram and then you start getting 1,000 or 2,000, I mean, that's a good return on investment in terms of like, hey, like more people are seeing this.
Every little bit counts. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think people have more etiquette.
I think you just have to accept that if someone does give you credit, then cool. If they don't, cool.
Or isn't that let's say that's art, right? Art is there's nothing original.
In terms of like what you are solving in the marketing space, what's something that someone possibly has like a marketing team already? What's something that someone could do to like make sure that marketing team is actually fulfilling what they're supposed to do? Because marketing is a weird space, man.
Yeah. Well, first, it's definitely setting expectations. Like, what results do you want? And I think, again, that starts with knowing exactly who your target audience is. Because you could be getting low results, but the people that are clicking on those ads or liking or engaging within your content are the ones that you want to go after. So definitely have to get that understanding with your marketing team and who you're using. Content, the flow of content. And I think one aspect that owners don't understand, I think there's this two-way street where you can throw out content, but you also have to engage with the content. And right now, who's best to engage with the content, especially getting started, is the owner, right? And so we're working on an engagement tool in Notion where it's just a template where, all right, your personal network, when you share something that's relative to your personal network and you think like their audience will benefit from, and they can share it, right? So you want things that are authentic, that is shareable. And then you go with your professional network. And then you go like who you want to work with in your county or like what city, And so we build all that out, and then we get those individuals, and then you can get a chance, because you know who to go to, is just scroll down their feed and actually engage in something that actually matters to you, and that they'll find valuable too. But it takes time, right? So we say you dedicate an hour, you use the template, and you have to do it. I think it shows you're engaged and you're genuine about what you're selling. And it kind of builds that trust too, instead of just relying on the marketing.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, you're going to get no likes, you're going to get no comments.
Owners definitely have to be a partner.
But people are seeing it. You may not know it, but people are seeing it. Like I was talking to a friend. I actually did like a virtual talk to like I think it was like a middle school investment class. And she's like, oh, I've been loving all your videos. Not one time have there been a like or a comment, but people are seeing it. And if you're putting it out there, there was actually someone who got, I guess a competitor, Fidelity Investments, like reached out to them because they lost their job, and Fidelity's like, oh, you can like move it into an IRA with us. And he called me, and a competitor reaching out to them triggered them to think like, oh, Josh could help me with this. So like being top of mind there, you let sometimes the big companies do you a little bit of a favor.
That's awesome. That's what you want. Yeah. Yeah, and that shows trust too, right? Because that's what's funny about this. Like where we are authentic because we're doing it for the right reasons. And then you get too big where you lose that the authenticity.
Yeah, I think Tesla is a good example of that right now.
Bring it back. At least the big players do. And it's like the irony is just hilarious. Yeah. We're gonna step back in the game, show my presence. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and I learned too in doing this. Like it's hard to focus on more than like one or two things. Like when you're trying to do everything, like it's hard to see your traction, and then even if you do, you're just moving at a snail's pace. Like two big things to focus on. I like your thing is like you need to get leads, and that's what I'm learning. You need to build that pipeline as you're developing. like your
I've just
system and
over
your
time,
back
as
end.
people
Those
come
are
with
like the two
different
important
problems,
things.
I start adding to the services. I'm like, I could help with that. Now let me create a menu. Let me create I use like
Yes.
a Chrome extension called like Magical, where I like save all my templates, and then I take it a step further. Since I mean, we're not getting like 10 new prospects a
Yeah.
day. Maybe we'll get a couple. I go into Chat GPT and I take my template and then I take the notes on what I've learned about the person to make the template more personalized based on what I learned about the person. So using different language, using different things. I guess some people might not like that, but I mean, you're just like you're using a tool to
Yeah.
help you make your proposal better rather than just, hey, Tanue, here's the invoice. Are you going to pay it or not?
And to be honest, the big boys are doing it. They've been doing it, since you sign up for anything, right? So I think everybody does it. I would
Yeah. I mean, I
say
still created the template on
you're
my
adding
own.
your
It's
own
just,
touch, right? You're personalizing it
using
so
different
you can
words.
reach something that you
Um,
can't actually
you know,
solve. Yeah. Yeah. I think chat, that's what AI is great as a research tool. It's awesome. Like you can, what was it? I was watching a webinar and they were discussing if you do use like an avatar or agent, like should you disclose that? And it's like what kind of content? It's like HIPAA, right? If it's HIPAA kind of content, of course you should. If that's what you're requesting, you should disclose that as an AI system. It's not a real person. But it depends, like what kind of information and what you're trying to get, your call to action for the individual to do. If you need to tell them if it's
well,
not
yeah, I mean,
you, if
I've
it's all
seen
AI, or if it is
ads
a
for like
genuine person
Synthesia
that they're engaging with.
where you can pay, I think, a few $1,000s and it'll create like an avatar that looks like you, does hand motions. You have to speak for, I think, at least an hour. So they like use your actual voice. It's just, let's just say you want to create a training or you want to send out like
Yeah.
the same message to a bunch of people, or if you don't have time to always create content, you can use that as a tool to help you do things a little faster. At the same time though, if you constantly use AI and an avatar and then people meet you in real person and it's not like you at all, you're going to have a very confused customer. It's like the person who hasn't updated their profile picture in
Yeah,
5 years, 10 years,
100%. Or you
15
don't
years, 20
remember
years, and then
a
you meet them in real life,
conversation.
you're like, okay.
Yeah. Oh man, that's I can't wish that on anybody. But no, that makes sense. So you want it to be you, and I think it takes accountability on your part to review
Yeah,
everything
I
you're
mean,
saying and make sure that as you grow,
I don't know
you're
how
updating your AI
fast
avatar as
everyone
well.
ages at everyone changes at different rates, but like I think about it, is like I have a beard. Like what if I just shaved my beard
Well,
one
I really
day
think
and
in person.
didn't wear glasses and I showed up on a meeting and then my avatar has glasses and a beard, people would be like, what happened? And be like, oh, I guess I could say I had like a beard trimming accident.
Oh, man, yeah, we gotta check out how realistic this avatar is. You might have like a second Josh laying around. But yeah, that's a whole nother level too. I think right now what I found out is I think people can realize when they're engaging with an avatar or something that's not real. So I think that's what that engagement template comes in handy. So the real owner or actual person that's trying to work with you is the
Yeah,
one
I mean,
that's
there's times to
sincerely reaching out
automate
and
and
like
there's
talking,
times not to automate.
engaging with you online.
I know a lot of the automation tools will
So, and
send
I
out
think
like
everything's
automated messages, but when someone responds, now you have
exactly,
to like jump
exactly.
in.
Well, yeah, and those are awesome. I mean, if those automated messages are working, then heck yeah, why not? But I know a lot of small business owners don't have that copywriting craft to get people to reply. I think, and that's where like a sincere outreach matters. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've
what are
just
you reaching out to
learned.
this person for? And that genuine, I don't know, yeah. I think it
Yeah, I
comes with
mean,
time
how
learning
bad are
how to
the
prompt
text
AI and
messages
like to
that you'll
get what you
receive? Is
want
like,
from it.
hey, give me a call back. Like, what? Why would I call you? I don't even know who you are. Um,
Oh yeah, are they referring to some kind of post that had nothing to
mhm.
like do with your actual target market or what you're requesting? Like some off-brand thing, like you repost or comment on that in their outreach to you,
Yeah, I
like
mean,
trying to
I've
get it. I'm
taken
like,
a
oh,
lot of
like
time.
really. So yeah, you see a lot of different things. And what I've been getting is a lot of podcast request stuff too. Have you been getting a lot of that? And I don't know how
Well,
sincere or
I do get some
because that's also a
requests.
marketing tool, right?
I do get requests
Podcast.
from
So
people
Like, how
And
do you
if I'm reaching out to someone I
which one
want to
you wanna
have
go
as a
on?
guest, it's a different workflow than if someone's reaching out to me, especially if I don't know them. So what I did was I donated a certain amount of money to like
Yeah.
a homeless
Yeah.
nonprofit, actually in Jacksonville. I think it's Mission. Is it Mission House or something? I don't know. I can't remember. But I donated. It's definitely in Jacksonville. I don't
I
remember
think
the
that's in
name, but
Tampa.
basically I
Is it?
say like, hey, if you want to be on the show, it's X amount of money, and your money goes
Okay.
towards a donation of X amount to this nonprofit. So that way it falls into the philanthropy pillar of
I love
369
that.
Financial. So essentially, for marketing, everything that I do, I want to focus on the growth, the family, or the philanthropy in some sort of way. As long as something that I make, other than like a blog post about the economy or something, but I guess that could be
I
growth.
love that.
But like just making sure the messaging's talking about one of those three things at all times, just to get the that's what someone recommended to me is like, hey,
It
if you do
is.
anything, just make sure you talk about one of those three things, or two or three, or three or three.
Alignment. Yeah.
But yeah, we have a good amount of guests reach out, and
That's
not of
awesome.
all of
Yeah,
them are
that's
good.
it. Dude, yeah, I get it. Oh, I'm glad I made the threshold and was able to join you. But yeah, I love the fact alignment is huge, consistency is huge. We focus on grace, giving back, because I feel like I've been blessed my whole career and what I've been allowed to do. And we focus on family, friends, community, and then just trying to make like a Jesus impact and just gifting people a business. Because I have a lot of friends that I think they have the attributes to be great owners at like certain businesses, like especially like sports, but they just don't have the patience, and like resilience to like just to figure everything out. So I like to like gift them that so they can see what I see and like what they can do. So
Yeah, you got to
man,
be
it's
willing to take
fun
a
to join
thousand
this
steps
journey.
back,
It's not for the faint of hearts, that's for sure.
so that you can give yourself the opportunity to so you can take 2,000 steps
Yeah.
forward.
Oh man, and we swallow your pride too. Yeah, it's so funky. Like you plateau out, and then you got to figure out this stage, and then like growth just happened exponentially. I've been doing a lot more in-person networking, and that's been awesome. Networking's been a funny thing. Like I see the value in it, but then like I get all these like prospects, but I'm not built to handle all these prospects, so I kind of like fade in the dark, step away for like a few months, and then I come back in it again. But I think this time around,
Yeah,
like
I
things
mean,
are well
it all depends on
aligned
what business
that
that
we
you're
can
in. For me,
get that consistency going.
in-person
Yeah, man.
networking wasn't good because I'd go and people be like, "How old are you?" And I'm just like, and then I realize the thing though is if people are at an in-person networking event, that means they have a marketing problem.
Yeah.
Because if you have a good marketing strategy, in-person networking events
Yeah.
cannot replace it.
Or funding. They could be looking for funding too. There's a lot of like state funded and like the SBA, like JSEB, Jacksonville Small Emerging Businesses. Like there's a lot of good money out
I've
there
never
too.
applied for
that small business
any
can
money.
have access to just by showing up and going through the process. Oh yeah, JSEB in Jacksonville, they went from $3 million cap. I think now they have access to $5 million. They're in the development of starting an African Chamber of Commerce. They have a Balkan Chamber of Commerce too that just got established. They have a Chinese Chambers of Commerce. Like there's a lot going on. They're building like tech centers for small business owners like around Jacksonville. I think they have 4 or 5 opening up in May. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of access
I don't know.
and resources.
Maybe one day.
too. It's just
I just
knowing you're
always
out there.
I always felt like if you get used to like taking a handout of some sort, then like
That's what
I feel like it
it's
kind of
about
works
time,
against you
yeah.
in some sort of way. I don't know. That's just like the way I look at it. Oh yeah.
Or it depends how you use the handout, right? And if you're built for it, because that's a whole nother process
Yeah.
you have to go down to, a rabbit hole of getting funding and all that. It's where you allocate your time.
Yeah,
And
I remember
that's
I was
what we love to
listening
help,
to
too,
a
is just being that
interview by
accountability
Mark
partner.
Cuban.
So
He like
wherever
made a
direction
deal
you
on
wanna
Shark
go,
Tank, and he
we'd
like
love to
called the
assist you
guy.
on
He was
that
like,
path.
"Where are
Yeah.
you?" He's like, "I'm in Ibiza." He's like, "What are you doing in Ibiza?" He's like, "I'm networking."
Yeah.
He, he was not.
What
I
was
don't
his
think he was
product?
networking.
It depends, right? If he's a DJ, I'm like, then he is networking. Yeah. Dude, there are some. That's what, man, finding the right support too matters. Like,
I have
good
people I'll reach out
mentorship.
to
Are
when I
you
have
still working
questions,
with a mentor?
but not someone. I've attempted the
No?
mentor game, and a lot of the mentors, especially in like
Yeah.
the financial
Yeah.
advisory space, are I don't think they understand the world that we live in anymore. All of them are like, oh, you got to go to this networking group. You got to go to this networking group. I'm like, I have this thing called the internet, and the internet like allows you to reach a lot of people versus like burning yourself out, driving here, driving there, going there. In the beginning, if you don't have like
Yeah.
a marketing strategy or if you don't have the funding, you have to go to in-person events because I mean, you have the time. You may not have the monetary value, but you have the time value. And then eventually,
Yeah,
when you get enough
100%.
assets, you have to flip-flop that because if you're spending time going to networking events, then you're not working on the business, you're working in the business, and then all of a sudden your whole strategy could be obsolete or not as good because you're not putting in the right time to make sure that you are keeping up with what's changing all the time.
Dude, you said one of our slogans, well, you must work in your business or work on your business. Like you said, it's where you're paying your attention to, and then the other aspect of your business gets stagnated, right? But I will say I see the value in in-person networking, but a main aspect of my business is community, and I think you get a lot of great deals when you go out and network because these are people that are taking action, right? You can see it happening in person, and I'm a big visual learner, so I rather see someone out there hustling, and it motivates me a lot more. I get kind of lost in the internet, but I know I set the grounds for the internet to be successful, and then I go in person. Because I will tell you a story. The SBA had a networking seminar workshop, and I went there and I met this girl Nikita, and she has a mobile lab company. And just from a networking event, she got a contract with JAA, the airport, and doing the drug screening and stuff like that. So there's a lot of power going out. Because you don't have to go through the layers of.
I mean, if
someone
someone's
answering
going
your
to
LinkedIn
a
thing.
in-person
You can meet them
networking
and talk
event,
to
you would
them in
hope that
person
they're
like this, and
open
you have that
to
one-on-one
talking to
connection.
strangers.
I think I did a post about like how dude, you find that a lot of people are. Even me, like, I try to con out of it so much time and try to ask friends and stuff to go, but just going for myself, I've never went to a networking event where I haven't met someone that's, either showed me something or like willing to work with me. Like, it's been beneficial every time. Yeah. I think now it's translating that, taking it online, and
Yeah, I
engaging with them
mean,
online.
going to the events
Now
is
we got
definitely not
that initial
enough. You
conversation.
gotta figure out what you're doing at the events.
Yeah.
We
You gotta
will complete the loop.
complete the loop, right? You can't. Oh, yeah.
Well,
But yeah. So what?
is it?
What do you have going on
I didn't even.
lately? I know it's May. It's like Small Business Week next week.
I mean, I'm at
Yeah,
the point
Small
where I'm
Business
just working on the
Appreciation Week. They have
systems,
like so many like seminars and
and
stuff going on.
I mean, I've pretty much stopped going to like all in-person things because I'm focusing on the business and focusing on like I increase like spend on leads, increasing spend on ads, getting
Yes.
the data from the ads. I mean, in the beginning stage, I mean, you're just spending money to get data, and then eventually you can use that data and everything comes full circle. I did get
Yes.
I have been getting some inbound leads, and I did get a bad phone
Yeah.
call yesterday, and I was just happy that someone found my number and called me. Like, it wasn't a phone call that I wanted, but I'm glad that someone like found the number and made the phone call, and I answered, and
Yeah.
that's telling me you start getting little signs that things are working.
Yeah, man. Yes. Oh, those feel so good. Yeah. It's all about getting and you bring up a good point about using data. And that's another aspect that a lot of small business owners, they have data. They've been in business for years, but they just don't have the time to implement it or use it there's so much wealth of like data right there just sitting in their CRM and like their patient logs and all that good stuff. It takes time. It's the whole mind shift. I think that's where we're at, and a lot of people are more susceptible to listen to using a different system or process because of AI now. So it's a lot easier to convince people they need to update their system than like let's say like 5 or 6 years ago.
Well,
Like,
it's
I
always
don't need
changing,
this.
and
'Cause
if you don't
now people are seeing the speed of technology.
if you don't continuously learn and keep with the times, you'll end up like the person at the grocery store who doesn't understand how to use anything.
Man, that's like foreshadowing because you see
Yeah,
those people. That's how
for
you
sure.
do getting older too.
Well, cool,
You
man. It
start
was cool
getting
having you
older.
on. We'll see everyone next time. Peace, everyone. I think I stopped it. I don't know.